Hello, welcome back. Today's story is from a thread titled Heating Basement Pool, posted by Something Awful Forums user Foo in September of 2010. Based on the title of the post, you might have been hoping to see an overly wealthy dude trying to heat an in-ground basement pool. Yet that conjures up the ideas of a very fancy life. That's something very aspirational, something you want to aspire to. It's classy. Unfortunately, what we have is a college student doing this instead. I have a 5,000-gallon above-ground pool in my basement. It feels nice down there, but the water is freezing. I have a tiny pump on it right now that kind of flows water, but I'm wanting to heat the whole pool to a reasonable temperature. I want something cheap that won't melt the pool, as it's rubber. I know I'm not the only person out there with a pool in their basement. As someone who dabbles in DIY, I am scared of working on electrics. That's my one thing that I kind of don't want to touch. And the thing that really concerns me about this is the combination of water and electricity. Forums user Random Idiot sums up most of my concerns pretty quickly. It's one of the first immediate posts in the thread. It's a very long post, but I'll pull the important parts out. Please, please, please tell me that is a wet location-rated lamp on a GFCI, and you have sump pumps from hell in your basement. It's not an if it's going to leak, it's when. And you're going to need some crazy pumps to keep up. When a rubber above-ground pool lets go, it doesn't just spring a tiny leak, it usually just splits wide open. That fridge next to it becomes a major shock hazard if that happens, since the compressor and cooling fan are at the bottom. If you absolutely, positively have to heat this death trap, find a good heater for that size. Put it on a GFCI, and make sure it doesn't touch the sides of the pool. As long as it's only in contact with water, the surface of the heater will never exceed 100 degrees Celsius. I dare you to call your homeowner's insurance about this to see what it'll take to insure it though. If you've not encountered the term GFCI before, it's an electrical socket that protects people from severe shocks by instantly shutting off power when it detects an imbalance in the current, like when water suddenly floods a basement. You can see why they'd be quite useful down here. Forums user IBPooks has identified where you might need them. Here, 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 and definitely here, the poorly rigged Applebee's lamp fixture dangling precariously above gallons of water is 100% the worst death trap here. Just how bad are we talking? Just to ram it home, OP, a coworker's wife died in ankle-deep water in her basement. Sump pump wasn't keeping up. When she went down and touched the pump, it wasn't grounded properly, and it shocked her bad enough that she passed out. The 6 inches of water did the rest of the work before she could wake up. And I know what you're thinking. Clearly, the short distance between electrical devices around the pool and the breakers will allow them to trip faster in case of short circuit, reducing the chance of injury. And I just want to disabuse you of these kinds of ideas. We do have a handy list from another Something Awful user. This is extremely dangerous, both to your house and to your life. It may sound good on the surface, but is very short-sighted and a horrible idea. Seriously, if you want a basement hot tub, get a basement hot tub. Drain the pool and put it up outside next summer instead. Problems I see. 1. Lethal electric shock from the light above the pool. 2. Lethal electric shock from non-GFCI receptacles. 3. Broken glass from the light right over the pool. 4. Mold from the humidity. 5. Rot from the humidity. 6. Flood damage from constant splashing. 7. Severe flood damage from when it inevitably leaks. 8. Structural damage from rot stemming from ignored flood damage. And 9. Loss of value of your home leading to be unable to sell it. At the very least, install GFCI on your basement receptacle string. $15, maybe $30 if there are 2 strings. Replace the light above the pool with one that's rated for damp conditions and more damage resistant. And buy a dehumidifier. And to answer your question, do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. It will warm up to room temperature on its own. You don't have to do anything but wait. What I do get to tell you now is this comment is from an infamous member of Something Awful called Grover, of Grover House fame. Grover House is another of Something Awful's most infamous DIY stories, and I will cover it in depth someday. I'm just abiding by the YouTube bylaws on covering the same topic at the same time, as a larger YouTuber covered it recently. If you aren't aware of Grover House, imagine a guy that made an inbred version of the American football house, chiming in to tell you how stupid you are. Foo ? I'm just gonna call him Foo because that's a long name, disappears for a few days. This leaves Goons to spiral for a dozen or so posts, pointing out how this is 100% gonna kill you, you dumb dork idiot. Dinosaur leaves probably the most helpful comment, pointing out that actually trying to heat the pool in any meaningful way is kind of a fool's errand. Assuming this is an underground basement and the floor is concrete, I would say heating that pool will be impossible, or at least impractical. At a depth of 4 feet down, the earth maintains a temperature of around 50 degrees, and your pool will act as a large heat sink and constantly seek to attain that temperature. Given the pool won't reap the benefits of solar heating, your monthly expenditure on electricity to maintain a comfortable temperature will be ridiculous. Oh, plus that pool is going to ruin your house for all the aforementioned reasons. At this point, I am asking the questions of what kind of activities are we up to with our basement pool? Hey, that was a nice guy-girl ratio you had going, at those pool parties at least, and actually, I guess girls typically have a better survival instinct. One question both I and Burning Swine have is, wouldn't it have been more effective to just flood the entire basement to begin with? You're making this unnecessarily complicated. Eventually, Foo comes back, and is immediately in what I like to call internet cool guy mode. Thanks for the support, kids. I think we're gonna drain it for winter anyways. I'm not one for fires inside the house. Outside the house, sure. It was fun while it lasted. We had it up for about 2 months before today. As we speak, it's currently slow draining into my sump pump. I estimate about a week before it's completely drained. Hear that, guys? We've still got a few months of possible "the pool burst, everyone died" updates. Can you imagine the smell of standing water for 2 weeks as it slowly drains, after having a dozen or so greasy frat dudes fall around in it and obviously piss in it? They have 100% pissed in it. We're among friends. We can all admit we've partaken a little pool pissing before, right? Anyway, moving on. It's revealed that this is a rented home in a college town, and it's the local party house called Club Baby Seals. That's not like an instruction or an endorsement. They are a club for baby seals. And here, the part of the goon psyche that, wishes the worst to befall Thread villains rears its head, with Atomic Lad posting, "I hope your landlord is dumb as bricks, or next year's tuition is going to be spent on mold remediation, refurbishing that basement." Of course, Foo has just the information we're after. The landlord might just be as dumb as bricks. The reason we put the pool in the basement is that the basement already floods. When we moved in, we were told that we would have 5 bedrooms, and they had spent $20,000 on fixing the flooding basement issue. After 4 inches of water in the basement and 80% of mine and one of my roommate's possessions, including an impressive book collection, were ruined, they ripped out all the drywall and sealed the basement. Needless to say, they did a terrible job and the basement still floods, to the point where we should just throw a chlorine floater down there and turn off the sump pump. I've since made sure that no one goes down there when there's a lot of water. We've lost a roommate as well, as who wants to live in a swamp, and our landlords don't seem to care anymore. It's been over 3 months since the last time someone came out to look at the house. There is mold down there, we do have a dehumidifier, there is the occasional snake hiding under boxes. It's something you learn to live with, then put a pool in the middle of. I sit here, reading this thread 15 years into the future, and wonder if it was a unanimous household decision. When this idea was presented, did any of the residents object with safety concerns, or was it an anonymous "fuck yeah"? Why would he say anonymous? Unanimous "fuck yeah". I'm also imagining the moment someone decides it was time to be the buzzkill, to make the call to drain it ahead of winter. How much of a buzzkill did the roommates call you? I mean, it had to be fun. You're lucky you had it for a little bit without incident, but I cannot imagine it went over well. "Okay, dudes, basement pool's a bad idea. We should drain it." "No way, bro. That brings the chicks over." To be honest, you are utterly insane to still be living in that house. I think, as soon as the house put the pool up and you turn the hose on to fill it, you should also be moving out. The internet was a much slower place at the time of this thread. 2010 was 15 years ago. We weren't all chronically online. We'd only just gotten the iPhone 4, for reference, so the thread doesn't bring a lot of traction, and it was a less trafficked sub-forum as well. So there's a few months of people drip-feeding into the thread wondering if we should Google search for electrocution in the pool at college frat house. We come to a new year, it's January 2011th, and we get the really important questions all lined up in the thread. Did Fu get the pool out in time for winter? Is he dead? Is this going to be goldmine? And look, either he was embarrassed or he didn't really care and ditched the thread, or he died in a predictable electrocution incident. It's one of the two. We are now smack bang in the middle of a Lexington, Kentucky winter. Earlier in the thread, he makes an offhand comment that the equestrian games are coming to town, and he can't find anywhere that is half as nice as this place right now for anywhere near the price. Which makes sense, but at this point the ground would be frozen solid and potentially the pool would be as well. I think we can engineer around this problem. All he needs to do is get a propane space heater. Water occupies space too, and if the air and carbon monoxide surrounding it is warm, the water will be too. Don't do that, by the way. That was a joke. While this is happening, people keep posting more messed up pools, and have you noticed, based on these images I'm putting up here, that it's always the same pool? Every single time. Do we need to blame the pool for this? Is there some sort of malevolent entity causing this kind of behavior, or is the pool marketed exclusively to potential Darwin Award candidates? And eventually, despite no posts in the thread since February, the prodigal son returns in April, resurrecting a thread that had had no posts at all for 2 months, with all the pomp and circumstance of a man who's very cool and very not mad. Wow, you kids must be real dedicated. I like that. I drained the pool about a week after posting this thread. Hell, I don't even live there anymore. The rats, bed bugs, constant flooding, before and after the pool drove me out. I will say, this will always be something I look back on and remember. Laying in the pool, stoned out of my mind, listening to trance with the lights off and the strobe light going will be a high point when I look back on my 20s. Thanks for your concern, or should I say anticipation of my Schroeder's perspective on my existence. For future Googlers that find this thread, in the future if you are trying to heat a pool in your basement, first build a wall to keep all the haters out. Second, put wood and foam under the pool to insulate it from the concrete. Third, buy a baptistry heater to heat the water. Mix these together and you'll have a warm basement pool free of haters. And yeah, you heard me right, he said like Schroeder's perspective, which I think he just was misremembering Schrodinger's cat. Either way, let's get the easy one out of the way first. A baptistry heater is apparently an immersion-style heater they use for baptismal fonts. Now, I'm not really a material scientist guy, but I think putting some hot metal into a rubber pool might cause a few melting issues, and then you get a sick water slide into the wall for a few seconds, followed by electrocution, death, or drowning. Again, self-made Final Destination incident in many such cases, but let's address the extremely large elephant in the room. That was quite possibly one of the saddest things I've read out in my time covering forums posts from decades past. Now, this could just be a bad case of basement pool envy, I admit, but I'm sure I will see sadder. Pre-reminiscing about being stoned in my moldy basement pool is a #1 contender right now. Fu actually gives us a long and stupid story about how he finally moved out, how the story fully ended for the club baby seals. A little side story for you kids. A week before we moved out, we had our last party. It was a pretty good size, not near 4th of July though, the party we will never forget. And we had taken all our furniture and set it on fire in the front yard. Couches, mattresses, lesser roommates. Oh, I wish. A month before we moved out, our roommate bailed on us and left us with the present of blowing a hole in our porch with his Glock, as well as putting 2 rounds through each window in his room. Needless to say, as we watched the embers of all we had worked for burn away, we were pretty fucking tanked. My buddy was doing donuts in the yard because fuck you, that's why. A Jeep that I don't recall seeing before with a set of super bright fogs pulls into the yard by the fire. A guy steps out of asking if anyone lives here. I do, I inform him. He told us that everyone had to leave or he was calling the police as someone was doing donuts in the yard. Cops love donuts, last I checked. This caused all our weak-minded friends to scurry like cockroaches in the light. My friend who had done the donuts told our landlord, whom this person seemed to be, but I could swear he was less blurry last time I saw him, that he would reseed the yard and ask if we could put out the fire before everyone left, which at this point had burned a 15-foot diameter dark spot in the front yard. Yeah, he said do that too. I put my arm around him and told him that this is our last party and we should be able to enjoy it. For once in my drunk life, I got through to someone, and he agreed that we should be able to finish out the party. Moral of the story: I now live by myself. Fuck having roommates. It's a pain in the ass. Don't ever rent to us. We will ruin your property. It doesn't matter if it's a bucket, it will never come back the same. I'm unsure what circumstances would lead to wanting to live in a situation like that. Actually, I do. It's called being a broke college student. But either way, I wish more college students of Foo's scholarly caliber would attempt projects like this. A, it would make things funnier in general, and B, it would give me more video topics to talk about. Where is he now? I don't know, actually. The pool was drained, and he probably didn't get his bond back. He hasn't posted since December 1st, 2011, so I'm merely going to assume that he died in a tragic waterslide accident where he set a waterslide up going straight into an alligator tank or something because it was cool. The only things from me as we finish this video up is throw me a couple bucks on Patreon if you want, and check out my music on SoundCloud. I make all of the backing music for these videos, and I'm slowly putting them all up there. And don't forget, the internet makes you stupid.
Walk into the bank with some shit in your pants, 'cause you had too many crystals and you somehow tried to dance. Walk up to the teller with an awkward grin on your face. Hand over the shitty check to him, and it's time to get paid. But he says he can't cash it, 'cause it's covered in shit. There's no way to sign it, and it's not even legible.